It's Tuesday, February 2nd, which means last night we had the post-Royal Rumble Raw show. Did it deliver? Who's facing who? What's Edge doing? What's Christian doing? What's Carlito doing? And most importantly, how does Tori Wilson still look so young? Find out right now on the Minimalistic Review. Raw kicked off with Drew McIntyre putting over the entire Royal Rumble show like a true champion should. He mentioned how he has respect for Goldberg now and that he's ready for the next challenges ahead. Edge comes to the ring and calls him a big stupid idiot because he's not as opportunistic as Edge and says he should have kicked his face off as soon as he got in the ring. And then Sheamus came down and was like, hey man, you talking to my friend like that? And then Drew was like, hey, chill dude, I got this. And then Edge was like, you see, you can't trust this guy. And then Sheamus was like, what's up man? You talking to me? Why don't you come at me right now? And then Drew was like, hey yo, chill. And then Edge was like, hey, you got a target on your back. Watch out, buddy. And then he left, and then they were laughing at him, and then Sheamus turned around and kicked Drew in the face. Later on, Drew would give Sheamus an opportunity at the WWE title. I can't wait to meet the WWE champion, so I'd kick him in the face and get a title shot. Riddle would face Lashley in a United States Championship title match after he ran the gauntlet against the Hurt Business last week. It started off real scrappy, looking like a real fight. The guys were going at it, both with MMA backgrounds. It was very intense. It was very nice. It was going to be a good fight. You could tell by the intensity that they really don't like each other. And then, oh my God, they got a DQ. Lashley had the full Nelson locked on Riddle while he was tied up in the ropes and refused to break the count when the ref got to 5, so he got DQ'd. After the match, he continued the assault, and MVP was trying to stop him, although at the end, he looked very happy about it. Bad Bunny pulls up in the nicest car I've ever seen in my life. Randy Orton cuts a promo backstage saying he's not going to let Edge make it to WrestleMania because he's going to kill him before. Sheesh, Randy, chill. They have a match set for later in the night. Xavier Woods defeated Ali after some shenanigans outside by T-Bar and Kofi Kingston that saw Kofi Kingston jump off T-Bar's shoulder to launch himself into Slapjack. It's a pretty cool spot. He got some pretty high air. Woods is now 2-2 versus Retribution, and he's been lobbying online to face Reckoning next week on Raw. Next up on Miz TV, Miz and Morrison squashed the beef between them and Bad Bunny in order to get him on the show. They also try to bribe him into helping them make an album. Bad Bunny says he's not interested, but he did say he came on the show because his friend wanted to come on the show. And his friend happened to be Damian Priest. Damian Priest comes down, takes out both men, which leads to a match in which he wins after a distraction for Bad Bunny when he hits Morrison on the outside with the microphone, distracting The Miz. The distraction probably wasn't a good idea in the debut for Priest, but honestly, having Priest next to Bad Bunny is probably the biggest rub he could get at this point anyways, seeing how he is an international superstar. Damian Priest was all over this show. He got the rub later in the night when he saw Edge backstage, and Edge said he respects him. The Hurt Business retained their Raw Tag Team Championships in a match against Lucha House Party that was probably the most exciting and most fun match I've seen in a long time. Lucha House Party are so much fun. I can't wait to hopefully see them take on MSK in the Dusty Cup Classic. The story of the match, though, was that the Hurt Business was on the same page for most of the match until the very end when Cedric was about to hit his finisher and then Benjamin tagged himself in to get the pin. Asuka and Flair do a short backstage interview in which Asuka sounds like she's finally getting fed up with the Flair family drama, which would lead into their match, which was a Women's Tag Team Championship #1 contender match between the former champions, Lana and Naomi, and Mandy and Dana Brooke, in which Naomi and Lana won by pinning Asuka at the very end. Yes, Asuka, the Raw Women's Champion. After Ric Flair and Lacey Evans came down, distracting Charlotte, who tagged Asuka in and walked off looking like her puppy just died. It's so frustrating to see Asuka get treated like this. She's way better than that. She's also the women's freaking champion. Let her get into a proper feud, even though this is probably leading into her versus Charlotte, and she better win that damn feud. Happy for Lana and Naomi, though. They deserve it. Jeff Hardy and Swolito take on Jackson Ryker and Elias next, continuing Jeff Hardy's endless feud against the two men. Now that Christian and Edge are back, can we get some interaction between them three, please? Edge cuts a very awesome Edge-style promo in which he says this is going to be the last time that he faces Randy Orton and he's going to bury him and get rid of that dark cloud. Sure, buddy. Why you always lying? Alexa Bliss plays some mind games with Nikki Cross next, even throwing a little hopscotch in the middle of their match. She also debuted a brand new, modified-looking Sister Abigail that looks much more effective than the original one. More on Bliss later. And in the main event, we see Edge beat Randy Orton for the final time with a spear after a distraction from Alexa Bliss, who appeared on the top rope sitting and started foaming black fluid from her mouth. Kind of like a vampire, but also kind of not because it was black. This could only mean one thing, that the Fiend is living inside of her and he's going to bust out at the right moment to take out Randy Orton. Just kidding, that's not true. This story is getting very convoluted. I'm not too sure what's going on. I'm not too sure when the Fiend's coming back, but it needs to come to an end soon, and it better be a big blow-off. This episode of Raw was actually pretty good compared to the past ones, which is a very high bar, but that is saying something. Some of the matches had stakes, and some of the storylines continued. The only problem is a lot of them have been going on for well before the Royal Rumble. No Christian sighting on the show. Hopefully we see him on SmackDown. Thanks for watching. Peace.